Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm doing another opal showcase out of the collection, and this is Owyhee Opal. Now I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm guessing it's a Native American name for the place, and it's from the USA, right between the Oregon and Idaho border, like smack bang on the border, so those two can fight over who actually claims this as theirs, but it's a beautiful stone, so I'm sure they both fight over it. And it's commonly found within the Owyhee State Park. And typically, it's a blue common opal. So this part here, I picked two interesting specimens to show, but it's typically this kind of blue, or maybe if you're really lucky, you get like a darker blue, and it comes through fairly solid. So you can get it fairly solid blue. I got these ones because they're a bit more interesting because of the matrix. And yeah, they're typically like that, but I have seen specimens that are precious opal. So this, with the standard colour play of an Australian opal or an Ethiopian opal. I don't know if it's got the full spectrum typically, but from the ones I've seen, red and green seem to be the most common colours. But any colour at all, apart from the common opal, is absolutely incredibly extremely rare. So talking to a few people that cut and mine the stuff, it's maybe 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 geodes that they cut open might have some with a tiny pocket or two of colour. So it's very special if you can get your hands on one of them. I haven't managed yet, but I'll keep trying. And the area, the Owyhee State Park, is insane to look at. I've only seen it on Google Images, so I haven't actually gone there. But just looking at it, it's just sheer cliff faces. It makes me think of the Grand Canyon. It's that kind of sheer cliff face, so absolutely insane. Luckily enough, this opal, however, you find near the lake, so Lake Owyhee State Park. It's along the lake, a bit around the river kind of area. I'll pop up a little map of exactly where this kind of stuff is mined, and yeah, it's a lot less cliffy, so that's good news. It might not be too hard to get, and one day I'll try to go over there and find some of my own. Don't know how long I'd have to stay there to find something precious opal, but I'm willing to give it a shot, maybe in retirement. A lot of the time they're found within thunder eggs, so you're cutting open thunder eggs. Not all the time is it even going to be the common opal. Sometimes it's a different filling entirely, a completely different stone. So yeah, I'll be breaking open a couple thousand of those hopefully in the future, but we'll soon see. I'll try to even purchase some if possible, and get it in more of a raw state rather than this, because these are kind of the only things that I've bought, already pre-cut stones, because they're incredibly cheap. Unless it's a precious piece, which is incredibly expensive because of the rarity, like rivaling black opal kind of expensive, it is really cheap stuff. You can buy it pre-cut like this for like $1 each, or like 5-piece packs for just a couple bucks. So incredibly cheap. And I have played around with actually just scraping back a couple areas, mainly on the back of these ones, and having a look at how difficult it is to cut and polish. And it does take a pretty good shine, but cutting it does get a little funny because you got these interfaces, and anytime you see an interface on an opal, no matter the opal and no matter the matrix, it is very interesting because it cuts so differently a lot of the time across there. So this one here in particular is a little funky with this translucent crystal. Maybe it's a quartz kind of base, but that makes it incredibly tricky because that's a lot harder than this right here. So this is quite soft here. And sometimes you can even feel that the white part here as opposed to this opal here, even though this is probably common opal as well. But even that interface there is quite different, with the center being much softer than even this outer edge, and then this outer edge being much harder than this one. It's a whole heap of tales in one story. So incredibly interesting, but it does polish quite well. So it's fun material to work. It reminds me a lot of pink opal. So the common pink opals you find in WA, Australia, or in Peru, it feels a lot like that, this common opal. So a very similar hardness to that. So on the softer end, it's quite soft, but if you're patient enough, you will get a nice polish. Just got to be careful leaving behind any scratch marks because they really do like to hang around, and they like to get in real deep. I could imagine this stuff would scratch accidentally quite quickly. So in terms of jewelry setting, that might be something to consider. Another American opal. Hopefully I can go visit some of these places one day, but for now, I'll just settle with having some stones from there, because it's all very interesting material. It's not Aussie Opal, so it's not going to be for everyone. But for me, I like to bulk up the collection with opal from everywhere, and it all looks very different, so it keeps it interesting. So I'll keep hunting around, and as I find more, I'll display them on the channel. So catch you in the next one where I'll be back to carving.